Good morning. Hope you're having a great beginning to your week on this Super Bowl Sunday. Probably one of the most watched events in America, definitely, and starting to spread throughout the world. And, if you ask people who go to watch the game, many people that go to Super Bowl parties and have wings and have chips and all the beer and all the preps, they don't even know who's playing the game. It's more of a social scene for them. Then, of course, there's the people who care about football, but they care, they like it, but it's not their life. And then there's, of course, the fans who are watching the game, and every moment they're jumping up and they're screaming. If they think the ump made a wrong call, they're at the TV and they're so animated and passionate about the game. And the truth is, in life, it's like that too. There's some people that, go about life, they lack the interest, the drive. Then there's the middle people. Then there's those fans who the zest of life. We have a friend. He's actually a cousin of ours. His name is Mayor K. Very famous guy in New York. He's a young guy who started this channel, YouTube. He did a lot of comedy. And then it was 2017. I think it was the year the Patriots were playing the Falcons. I don't even remember. And on Super Bowl Sunday, he went out. He got into an Uber. And he went on around Manhattan, and he found a bunch of homeless guys sitting on the street, and he walked over to them, and he said, "Hey, would you want to watch the Super Bowl?" And they were shocked. He said, "Would you want to be invited to a party?" And they were hesitant, and then they agreed, and he packed 6 guys into his Uber, and he took them to a penthouse at 230 Madison Avenue, on top of the top floor, sat them down. He had Patriots jerseys for them, and delicious food and drinks and nice clothing to change into, and they had a blast. And basically from that, he called it Super Soul instead of Super Bowl, Super Soul, which was to try to make the evening special for homeless. Super Bowl Sunday is so celebrated in America, but unlike, Thanksgiving and New Year's time, when there's a big focus on the homeless because of the cold and because it's a holiday season, on Super Bowl Sunday, people forget about them. And since then, it's taken off. And COVID gave it a hit, because they couldn't do it. But I think there's this year over 50 Super Soul parties all over the nation. I think last year the biggest one was in Orlando, where 500 people came. And the idea is to take these people, some of them even got them barbers, to give them a haircut and dress them and shower them and bring them to these parties and give them delicious food and make them feel like they could enjoy the game. And in fact, I saw one of my friends, a Chabad rabbi in Montana, wrote he was looking for help yesterday to clean up the Chabad house because they're making a homeless party for homeless people for the Super Bowl. And it's such a remarkable thing, to think about others in a time of celebration. And it's interesting because in Shul yesterday, we read about the 10 Commandments. And we read about the most spiritual things. Have one God, don't swear in vain, keep the Shabbos, do not covet. And then at the end of the portion, the Torah tells us about the altar in the tabernacle. They had a Mizbeach Hazav, a golden altar. Then they had what's called Mizbeach Adama, a earthen altar, which was in the courtyard. And Rashi says, what does it mean, earthen? And there's 2 interpretations. One interpretation was that it was always tied to the ground. It was always connected to the ground. But the more prevalent interpretation, which is the second one Rashi gives, was that it was a hollow copper. It's called Mizbeach HaNechoshet. It was made out of copper, but the inside was empty, and they would fill it in with earth wherever they went. And the Rebbe says, what's the message? Everything in Judaism is a metaphor for something. It's a message to us, to our lives on a spiritual level. And the Rebbe says something very interesting. The word nechoshet, which means copper, also means nechishut, which means strength and conviction. And the Rebbe said that on the outside, a Jew has to be made of copper, so to speak. You have to have conviction and pride, Jewish pride. You go around, a yarmulke, not to be embarrassed of your Judaism, not to be embarrassed to celebrate and be proud of Israel and our heritage and who we are. It's called Gava Yehudit. But then on the inside, the Rebbe says, you have to be made out of earthenware. You have to be humble. You have to be sensitive. You have to be kind. You have to recognize and see others and share that kindness to them. And when I think about Meir Kane, what he did, a proud Jew, a chassid with a beard and a yarmulke, and he started this thing singly, the super soul, which has spread throughout our whole country, of people who might be proud on the outside, but inside they're made of earthenware. They're sensitive. They know that there's somebody that has less than them, that needs care, that needs love. So today on Super Bowl Sunday, I don't know who you're rooting for. Everyone says, Rabbi, who's going to win? All I can tell you is that the last time the Patriots played the Eagles was on the same falling out of Parshat Yisro. Jethro was the portion that we read the week before. And it was the next day was the Super Bowl. And in the portion we read yesterday, God says, Ve'esa enchem al kamfei nisharim. God says that he carried the Jews on the wings of eagles. And I remember I said that in Shul. I said, oh boy, I hope this is not a bad omen for us, because eagles are mentioned in the portion. And of course, the Eagles ended up winning. It was a horrible loss. I don't know who's going to win tomorrow, but I know for sure that the greatest winners will be those homeless people who are invited to Super Soul parties and those people who invite them. And Meir Kay is the biggest winner of all, because when you think about others in a way of kindness, in a way of giving, it's the greatest thing you could do. You know, some people might think he's crazy. You invite homeless people to your house? But the truth is, every one of us has some craziness within us. Is the guy who's sitting by the game and screaming at the TV and cursing because he didn't like it the umpire said? He's crazy about football. America is crazy about helping others. Let us be crazy in a good way, in a kind way, in a giving way. Let us remember that although we might be made out of copper and be pompous and strong, that we should have earthenware within us. We should be humble. We should be kind. We should be sensitive. The world needs more of that. God bless you. Enjoy today's game. And hopefully we'll all be winners.